If your surface pattern collection were a movie, the main pattern would be the star. It sets the tone, it can steal the spotlight, and it makes your whole collection feel intentional and cohesive. But what actually makes a main print great? Today, I'm breaking down 4 key elements that make your main print, also known as your hero print, stand out without clashing with your coordinate. These are some of the exact principles I teach inside my course, Successful Licensing Collections. So consider this video a sneak peek at some of the things that you can learn in that course. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Elizabeth Silver, and I've been designing patterns and illustrations for over 20 years through staff jobs, freelance clients, and art licensing partners. On this channel, I give designers insights into the surface pattern and art for product industry, from tips on making stronger art collections to pitching your work to industry trends. Subscribe if that sounds useful to you. What gives a pattern main print energy? Let's talk about it. So the first thing is varying your motifs. Okay, now a motif is the icons or the elements that you use within your pattern. So on the right-hand side, you can see my hero print from my Laundry Day collection. And I recommend when we're talking about varying your motifs that you have at least 6 to 8 different motifs within your hero print. So in my Laundry Day hero print, I have washers, dryers, ironing boards, stacks of laundry. I have shelves with cleaning supplies. I have laundry baskets. I have laundry detergent, irons, hangers, etc. So I have a lot of different motifs. I'm sure I have more than 8. But if you're saying, well, look, I don't want to have a million different types of things in my hero print. Well, that's okay. So I would recommend, if you are sticking with one thing for your main print, try different views. So in this example, this is a strawberry plant hero print that I did. And you can see that the only things that are really part of this are the strawberries, the leaves, and the flowers. But you're seeing side views of the flowers, you're seeing different angles of the strawberries and the leaves. And so it has a lot of different variety. And that's what makes a main print special. So often I see new designers drawing one strawberry and one flower and one leaf, and then just stamping it at different angles throughout their print. And that isn't enough to make a really interesting hero print. So I would say, at the very least, even if you're not doing different angles, make small adjustments to your reused motifs within your repeat tiles. So this sunflower print was not the hero print of this collection. I have a Sunny Days collection, and we'll see that a little bit more later in this video. But here I wanted head-on big sunflowers. So again, I didn't just draw one sunflower and stamp it multiple times throughout. I made this a little bit more interesting by having different centers, different shadows, different petals to give it some movement. So there's a lot of interest in this pattern, even if it really is just the head-on sunflowers. So I recommend that you vary your motifs. Now, of course, there are exceptions to every rule. There are some situations where you might want your hero print to be one single motif that is stamped out, that is repeated in a certain way. And, there's obviously opportunities to do that. But when I see newer designers looking to level up their work, one of the first things that I recommend is varying your motifs and getting used to putting a little bit more into your hero print than to draw one really beautiful thing and repeat it. Once you get comfortable with that, that's when you can start making the creative choices to have less motifs or, pull it back a little bit. My second recommendation to give a print main print energy is to use the most detail in your hero print. So This could look like additional texture, line work, or shading. And what's really important here is you still do need to keep relatively consistent style throughout the whole collection. All right. So in this example, the top print is the hero print of my bows and bouquets collection, and the bottom is one of the coordinating prints. So as you can see, the bows on the top have more shading, have more movement, have more interest. The bows at the bottom, the white bows, have a little bit of shading because, again, I wanted to keep it consistent, but they are much simpler, especially since this print would probably be smaller than you're seeing here. The scales aren't exactly right on this view. You're also going to see that the flowers have more detail in the top than they do at the bottom. A little bit more line work, a little bit more shading and, darker spots, but there's still a very organic feel about the flowers in the coordinating print as well. So keeping that relatively consistent style is super important to making a cohesive collection. And I actually have a video about it. It's called Create a Cohesive Surface Design Collection. And you can watch that on my channel. I will link it in the description. But to take a look at some more examples, this is on the top, the hero print of my Sunny Days collection. And the bottom is a coordinating print. And as you can see, the top has a lot more shading, a lot more motifs. I've got milk jugs you're not seeing the whole print, but I do have milk jugs in here. I have bicycles, I have fences, I have a lot of things happening, but I also have more texture, more line work, more shading. There's a little bit of those things happening in the coordinating print. You can see a little bit of shadow on those daisy centers. You can see some texture I have in the background, but the majority is in the hero print. And finally, one more example. In this hero print, I did a mixture of styles. So I have some outlines that are filled in and some outlines that are not filled in, which I kept consistent in my coordinating print. But as you can see, so much more detail, so much more happening in the top print. I'm about to dive into the next 2 tips for some main print energy, but let me know in the comments, is this helpful? What do you think about designing main prints versus coordinates? Do you even design in collections? Why or why not? I want to know. I personally love collections. I talk about it on my blog and my channel often. I think it's great for the artist as well as for the client, but I'm curious what you think. So let me know in the comments. My next suggestion for giving your hero print main print energy is to use your entire palette for the collection in your hero print. This is Surface Pattern 101, I would say. If you're creating a collection, most of the time you have your entire palette being used in your hero print. So again, this is my Laundry Days print, and you can see I have all these colors. That's my palette that I use on the left-hand side on this hero print. Now on the right-hand side, these are my coordinating prints for this collection. And as you can see, they do not have as many colors. So if we look at the color count here, the hero print has all 9 colors. The secondary print, which I consider to be the wash, dry, fold, repeat on the top, has 6 colors. And then some of the coordinates have 4, 2, 7, and 7. So it would be okay if another one had all 9 as well, but you just don't want to have your hero print have 4 colors and your coordinates have 9 colors. Obviously, there's always exceptions to rules, but in the most cases, you're going to want all your colors in your hero print. All right, my final tip, and this one, you can use this at your own discretion, but one way that you can level up your hero prints is to consider new layouts. So let's talk about what I mean by that. This is what I call a tossed layout. As you can see, I drew a bunch of coffee cups and mugs, and I tossed them around at different angles, and I made them relatively evenly spaced. And as you can see, I have a lot of different motifs here. There is some detail. You can see where I have repeating motifs like that iced coffee that's like light brown with the navy top. You can see one of them has 3 ice cubes, one has 4. I try to make it just a little bit different. That was the suggestion that I gave in the beginning. And this is a perfectly fine hero print. There's nothing wrong with this as a hero print. It's got a lot of detail. It's interesting. But what I often do with my hero prints is, in this case, on the right-hand side, I used a perpendicular layout. So this is where everything is up or down or left or right. So all of the motifs, all of the icons are aligned in a different way. So it just gives it a little bit more interest. There are some really beautiful hero prints that are toss layouts. So it's not to say that there's anything wrong with the toss layout, but if you want to level up and try something new, I do recommend trying out some different layouts. And if you need some suggestions about what kind of layouts to try, I have got you. I've got a free layout ideas for pattern design guide. You can get that at the link below. This is a favorite freebie of mine. People love this. I've got lots of different ideas on different ways to lay out your work. And people who have downloaded it before say it's the perfect inspiration for creative block. So what you can do is you can create your motifs, and then based on some of the suggestions that I have, you can put them into repeat in different ways. So, I could take those same coffee mugs and do a perpendicular layout. I can do a packed layout. There's just lots of different options to mix up your main prints. So I hope these suggestions help you, and I hope that you have some really great prints coming out of them. Remember that your main pattern is where your collection gets to really shine. So be sure to put the effort into making an incredible hero print. Use those varied motifs, use that palette, go bold with detail, have some fun with it. If you want help experimenting with different layouts, I have got a free pattern layout guide. It is a great next step to implement some of the things that we talked about today. And if you're ready to go deeper and learn how to create a really marketable design collection from start to finish, from looking at what kind of trends and themes make sense for your collection, all the way to assessing your own work when you don't have an art director to help you out, I have got the course for you. It's called Successful Licensing Collections. It's available now, and it is one of my favorite things to offer and one of my students' favorites. So check that out. All of this information, the free layout guide and the Successful Licensing course links are in the description. So go forth and make great main prints.